Hello and welcome to my Magickal Witchy library tour. I love books and have always been a prolific reader. The best places I've found to purchase books are thrift books online, aid books online, and half-price bookstores. I rarely buy a brand new book. Most of the books I buy have been well read and much loved, and I'm always more than happy to give it a new loving home. As long as I can read all the words in it, it is in perfect condition for me. This is the bookshelf that holds the majority of my Magickal Witchy library. Obviously, I can't go over each book, but I will touch on some of my favorites and why. Shapeshifters by Adrian Mitchell and Spells and Bindings, part of a magical series of books by Time Life. These are two of my favorite books for the absolute sheer mystic beauty of them. These books are basically eye candy for all readers, young and old. They are full of folklore, mythology, and fables of old. These books are a true treasure. They are classic, deep stories and poems. They will set your mind ablaze with the intricate mysteries contained within. I really enjoy looking at a beautiful book, and these two are beautiful, but not only for the beautiful illustrations, but also for the beauty contained in the literature itself. For this reason, these books are truly a magical part of my witchy library. Llewellyn comes out with a new Witch's Companion every year. Each one is unique, full of ideas, recipes, spells, and more. Each one is full of illustrations. And who doesn't love a great visual aid? I don't buy these books every year, but each one is very useful, not just for that particular year, but forever. And when I am searching for inspiration, these are often my go-to books. Tarot Spells by Janina Renee. Tarot cards hold within them a lot of power and insight, and this power can be used for things other than just readings. Using tarot cards to enhance your spell work as an extra layer of valuable energy to your spell work. I think this is simply brilliant, and the book itself is concise and very well written. The Ultimate Encyclopedia of Mythology by Arthur Cottrell and Rachel Storm. This is a beautiful, colorful book full of knowledge. I love mythology, and this book covers it all. It has delightful photos and illustrations on nearly every single page. If you love mythology or just want to learn more about it, this is the perfect book. And it covers many, if not all, of the myths and legends from all the different pantheons from all across the globe. Next is a little golden book that was given to my father in 1955. He passed away in 2001. When I hold this book in my hands, I can see in my mind's eye him reading this book as a little boy, and it warms my heart and it enlightens my soul. This is truly one of the most magical books that I own. The Concise Lexicon of the Occult by Jorina Dunwick. This book, if you Google it, doesn't really have good reviews. However, I have found myself on many an occasion looking here for a word that I did not understand. So for me, this book is very useful as a reference tool, and one that I think is great for beginners as well as the seasoned witch. I don't remember what I paid for it, but I notice the price is now very inexpensive, especially used. The Children's Bible, another magical book simply because it belonged to my first late husband and the father of my children. This book is a medium and a connection, and this book holds amazing power and energy. Reading the Leads by Leanne Marama and Sandra Wright. If you have ever wanted to learn tasseomancy, this is a great book. It explains exactly how to get started, right down to picking the right teacup. I think this is a fun and interesting book because I love learning new ways of doing things. A lot of thought and detail went into writing this book, and it gave me new ideas concerning the way I read the leaves myself. Spells, Charms, and Formulas by Ray Marbrell. This is a fabulous book that I've had for years. I think all witches, new and old, can benefit from this book. It contains very detailed descriptions of recipes and spells, and even how to set up your altar for the spells. complete with diagrams. It even has a section on making magical dolls for use in your spell work, and I love working with dolls. I highly recommend this book. The Foxfire series is a series of books by Elliot Wigington and his students. My parents had the complete series, and as a curious child, I devoured these books and spent hours reading. These books are a memorial and a preservation to the way of life of the Southern Appalachian mountain people. There's tons of useful knowledge within these pages, but in truth, my favorite parts are the chapters called Boogers, Witches, and Haints, which are basically ghost stories. I love these books. They take me back to a simpler time, not only theirs, but my own as well. Lucid Dreaming Pack, Guide to the Inner Self by Robert Wagner. This book and journal first belonged to my daughter, who read and studied it very in-depthly. By studying this book, she became a very prolific lucid dreamer, filling more than one journal with her vivid dreams. She often kept me fascinated with her intricate and detailed dreamscapes. I remember asking her one day when she finished reading an excerpt from her journal, "What happened next?" She replied, "Nothing, I woke up." Her dreams were so explicitly vivid that I was on the edge of my seat wondering what happened next. This book will help you to understand yourself better, and I highly recommend it. Because prior to reading this book, my daughter was not a lucid dreamer. But with the aid of this book, she became very highly skilled and proficient at it. A Treasury of Witchcraft by Harry E. Weddick. This book is absolutely fascinating. However, the description I initially wrote does not do it justice, so I'm going to read you a condensed version of the description I found online. This is a source book of the magic arts, including divination, astrology, and necromancy. It cites abundant text in historical sequence and presents actual records referring to witchcraft and sorcery as realities. Together with specific spells, charms, invocations, satanic pacts, descriptions of occult practices, a who's who in demonology, and imperial and state decrees relating to magic activities. And one of the best parts, on the back of the book, it has several keys for interpreting occult-style alphabets. I think this is really cool. The Complete Book of Incense, Oils, and Brews by the very famous witchcraft author, Scott Cunningham. I think this is a must-have book for all witches' libraries. I love it because it has tons of magical recipes, including soap recipes, which I find missing in a lot of books like this one. The version I own is actually an older version, and the newer version has over 100 more recipes. I have used this book as a reference for years, adding and taking away magical ingredients to recipes as needed to match my intention. This book is literally a timeless book for all witches, and another book that I highly recommend. The Complete Book of Spells, Ceremonies, and Magic by Mai Jean Gonzalez Whippler. This book is a classic, useful, and full of valuable knowledge. The condensed online description reads, "In this book include magical spells and rituals from virtually every continent and every people. You will learn the theories and histories of magic, the gods, the elements, the Kabbalah, the astral plane, ceremonial magic, talismanic magic, exorcisms, I Ching, interpreting dreams, horoscope, tarot cards, palmistry, numerology, and so much more." The Book of Spells by Arthur Edward Waite. This is a classic. It's published in 1911, and I'll be the first to admit that it's not for everyone. It reads very scholarly, and the wording is a bit outdated, but it is an absolute treasure trove of information. It will lead you down a path to greater knowledge and understanding of the magical arts in general. One of the reasons I love this book so much is that it explores both sides of magic, the light and the dark. In my opinion, both woven together and practiced for the quote-unquote greater good brings necessary balance to anyone who practices magic, regardless of their tradition. The Illustrated Encyclopedia of Witchcraft and Practical Magic by Susan Greenwood and Rajay Airy. I love this book for basically two reasons. First, The book is chock full of photos and illustrations, and who doesn't love a useful book full of pictures? The other reason I love this book is that it is very diverse and studies magic traditions from all over the globe. Though it is not one of my main books of reference, it is the one that I most often pick up to take with me to an appointment that I know I'm going to have to wait. And each time it never fails to enlighten or inspire me on some level. It is a bright, beautiful book and a valuable part of my magical library for this reason. A Witch's Grimoire of Ancient Omens, Portents, Talismans, Amulets, and Charms by Gavin Frost. While doing research on this book, I was actually shocked to find that it had a lot of bad reviews. I think it's because it is very unique and not the same old usual grimoire info that to me gets redundant and boring. I love original ideas even if they don't necessarily flow with my own. I respect and rather enjoy originality in people's thought processes. This book is actually very helpful and insightful. It reminds me of the Hanged Man card in tarot. Take a moment to look at things from another perspective and you might learn something life-changing. Crone's Book of Charms and Spells by Valerie Worth. This is a simple and beautiful book. The main reason it makes my favorites list is because I have often used it as inspiration to make magical sigils. I love the illustrations in this book. Also, it's a great place for ideas on making balms, elixirs, charms, and amulets. It also contains some fairly good spell ideas for healing, protection, love, marriage, fertility, wealth, youthfulness, and beauty. The Voodoo Hoodoo Spellbook by Denise Alvarado. You may have noticed on my shelves that I have a lot of books about the hoodoo religion. I incorporate a lot of hoodoo into my very eclectic, unique craft. This book is hands down my personal favorite on the subject. I highly recommend it. It has tons of recipes for oils and powders. It contains spells, gree-grees, talismans, amulets, hexes, curses, psalms, and it introduces you to the voodoo pantheon of spirits. Natural Remedies Encyclopedia by M.D. Vance Farrell and Harold Churn. This is by far the most comprehensive book on natural remedies that I own, and I own many. This book was given to me by my mother, who is a very devout Christian, so this book is riddled with Bible scriptures for the sick sinner. I just ignore the Bible references in this book because I really don't think they belong, and they kind of muddle up the vast, useful knowledge contained within. This book contains any and every element you can possibly think of, and then gives you natural ways to heal the specific ailment. I use this book very often and love it despite the unnecessary scripture. The next book is my father's Oxford Dictionary from college. He's even signed it. I use this book as a medium and a connection to his spirit by writing a question on a bay leaf then burning it. I open the book to a random page and read the word I pointed to without looking. The answer always comes. This book is priceless and irreplaceable to me. Witchcraft, a handbook of magic, spells, and potions by Anastasia Graywolf. One of the reasons I love this book so much is because the cover is so beautiful. I have used several of the spells in this book with great success. For example, the powwow spell to get a judge to favor you. The book is full of useful spells, and it has the added benefit of being really beautifully illustrated. The Holy Bible. You may be wondering why I include Bibles in my Magical Witchy library video. Well, let's be honest, there's nothing more supernatural than believing in God as depicted by the Jewish and Christian religions. I'm not being funny, this is very true. The Bible is a powerful spell book, especially the Psalms, which are a treasure trove for protection spells and basically anything else you can ponder. This book is especially powerful because it was given to my husband's grandparents in 1954. In the center is an extensive family genealogy, many of whom have crossed over. In my view, a prayer is a spell, so don't ever discount the power of prayer, especially when conducted by a whole congregation of believers. Don't ever forget that magic begins in your mind. I have on more than one occasion seen the power of prayer in action with great success. Even though I don't believe in the Christian religion, I don't for a second refuse a prayer from a true believer, for they are unwittingly casting a powerful spell to my benefit. Llewellyn's Spell-A-Day books that I have collected throughout the years. Even though they are dated, the information contained within is timeless. The Elemental Encyclopedia of 5,000 Spells by Judica Isles. It is sitting in the center of my home, and I pick it up often when I'm sitting on the sofa with my husband as he binge watches an interesting series on Netflix. As he is doing this, I'm scrolling through this book. It never fails to inspire me, and it is truly one of my favorites. This is a very rare, if tattered, copy of Fortune magazine from 1934. I use this magazine in a very unique way in my spell work for luck and money. I write out a petition on parchment paper and place it in the magazine with a card that says, "Send fortune for a year." I place my spell plate on top, being careful not to get oil or wax on the valuable antique. This is a very clever way to utilize this treasured magazine, and it never fails to provide success. And let's not forget, we're in the digital age with millions of digital books at our disposal. You can build a great magical witchy library with digital books. There are many digital book clubs online, such as Audible, Kindle, and Scribd. While I love both Audible and Kindle, I recently discovered Scribd. And the great thing about this book club is that you can download and listen to unlimited books for a monthly fee of $16. While I admit there's nothing better than curling up with a good book, digital books do have benefits. The best thing about digital books is being able to multitask while enjoying a great book. I often listen to books while I'm cleaning, driving, working on craft projects, and as I am falling asleep. I'm a very eclectic witch. I've made my own path, and my bookshelves reflect this. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching.